Our next inductee tonight is Patricia Donohue.
Good evening, everybody. I want to thank Cindy and Mike for giving this award to me and for my peers who celebrate the next, I think, nominee. We, Joseph Ferguson and I, will be celebrating our 50th year this year in massage therapy. We met each other in 1965. At that time I was single, he was married. And as life puts you forth, we go down different paths. But God had us to meet each other later on in life. And we worked many, many years with AMTA. I think we worked through our hardship of our broken marriages through AMTA, our first love. And then we realized that we had something stronger, the love of each other. And the only other greater love we have, of course, is massage. In teaching, I never knew I could be a teacher until Steve Shankman pulled me out, called me out, and I met him at a meeting one time. We were talking about licensing for New York. And he said, I want you to teach in the school called the New Center. So I said, Steve, I'm not a teacher. He says, yeah, but you're a good therapist. He says, and I want my students to follow your path. So I proceeded to go to the New Center, and of course what they do is they hand you a roster and say, there's the class. And you know, you look at this, you know the names on the roster, but the garbage that I was handed, I had absolutely no idea what I was teaching. So I proceeded to teach my way. And in this development, I stayed with the school for approximately 20 years, which became a college. It is now called the New York College. It was the first one to set up a two-year degree between myself and Dr. Berzone, who was the dean at that time, and I was the department chair. We were the first ones in New York to have a two-year degree program. Now, in New York, it is mandatory that they have minimum of 1,000 hours. In our school, we both had Oriental and Western science. So when our students left, they felt more encompassed with the whole human body, the energies, and I myself in learned more from the student because I, being a graduate of 65, I did not know Oriental. So I committed to learn Oriental. And I learned Amma, and I learned Shiatsu. And then I met another woman, Mrs. Rory, about 1980 at a retreat. And I was having terrible problems with my lower back and elimination. And I was set up to go for an operation, and she says, you sit down, I work on you. The hardest thing I had in learning from one of my greatest teachers was Mrs. Rory. The other one was Miss Phillips, who taught me Swedish, who was the owner of the Swedish Institute, the originator. And Mrs. Rory, that weekend at this retreat, I was able to go to my doctor and cancel my appointments. Well, being so fascinated by this recovery for myself, I dedicated over a year tutorial one-on-one with this woman. And it was painstaking for me to get up to drive through the city traffic to go to her apartment in Queens from basically 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, Saturday and Sunday, and work on her neighbor. I proceeded to do that for a full year. She taught me beginning, intermediate, and advanced work in connective tissue. Then the story is with Dr. Well, it's basically, I don't want to just ramble on, but Elizabeth Dickey was the original inventor or who discovered the Bindigo-Ebbs. She taught in the schools in Germany, and Mrs. Rory is a direct descendant of Elizabeth Dickey. Now, of course, when Elizabeth Dickey went back to work, because she was able to get her leg back in condition. She had gangrenous legs, and she was able to get them back to work. She went to work back in the hospital as a physical therapist, and this Dr. Leubit met her, and Dr. Leubit at that time wanted to advance the work, which is now known as skin rolling and deep tissue, and the connective tissue, which a lot of people do. But unfortunately, it's very hard on the body. Elizabeth Dickey's method is very easy. But I don't want to ramble on because I know there's a lot of inductees, but I really do hope that you do take the time to learn Bindigo-Ebbs. It is a dying art. Through the pesting of my husband, I did make a video, a DVD, head to toe. I don't want to be up here to sell it, but I am leaving that to the, I'm giving a copy to your history. So you will have that in the history, because we all go on to the next world, and when I go, I want my footsteps to be here, and hopefully there'll be other people that'll do my work. Thank you very much.